Hi, we're here tonight with our Bible study with Three Hearts Strong. I'm Heather, and today we're going to talk about Ziklag. Um, I just want to find this, share it on my other page. All right, slight delay there. Um, so Ziklag, I don't know if you've heard that people refer to the Ziklag blessing, and we're going to talk a little bit about where the blessing, what that is. And also, I think there's a big lesson we can learn as well. So the Ziklag blessing, as well as a Ziklag lesson. So tonight we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 30. Again, this is about part of David's life. And a little background, if you're going to look up the passage, I'll give you a little background while you're looking for 1 Samuel chapter 30. Ziklag is actually a city. It's in a Philistine territory. And it was given to him, it was given to David as a place where he could actually hide from Saul. Remember King Saul? King Saul was the first king of Israel, but he disobeyed God, so he was told by Samuel that he would not live long as king or pass it through his generation. Which, if you remember, we talked about this before, when David was younger, it made Saul obviously very upset. He was depressed, and David would come and play. David was a musician, and he would come and play to help Saul go to sleep. So Saul was cool with David when David was less known. So now David is getting more popular. People are respecting him. They're seeing him fight battles, and people are coming to him, and they're starting to respect him more than King Saul, which is not going well. So I don't know if you've experienced that in your life, where people are kind of around you when you're just kind of trudging along doing your thing, and then maybe you get a promotion at work, or you start your own business, or you move into a house or whatever, and people start getting jealous, and because now you might be coming up a little bit on them instead of people being happy for you. So now all of a sudden King Saul is not cool with David. He wants to kill David, actually. And so that's why David is actually hiding in a Philistine controlled area in the town of Ziklag. So in this town, like I said, people are respecting David, and men are coming to the town of Ziklag to be trained by David, because he's a great fighter, a great warrior, and he's actually training these men to help him fight in battles and everything. So in First Chronicles chapter 12, the people were referring to Ziklag as David's stronghold in the wilderness. That's what they called it. So this city became bigger and bigger with warriors, and that was part of, King Saul's problem, was he was starting to get fearful of David taking over, and King Saul knew someone would be taking over. So 1 Samuel chapter 29 is a very short chapter. Basically, it's talking about how David would go and help people fight battles. And the man that gave him this city to reside in was a Philistine named Achish. And he was in a battle, and David said he would bring his men and help him. But Achish was a Philistine, and Achish was okay. He trusted David, but the people under him didn't, because you remember Goliath, right? So Goliath was a Philistine. So he took his men there to Achish to tell him, that's how I think you say the name, to tell him he would help. And he said no. So while David's going and trying to do something good, trying to be helpful, trying to repay this guy for letting him stay there, and the Amalekites, remember them? The ones that King Saul was supposed to have killed and didn't kill them all. So again, the Amalekites are back again, messing with the Israelites. So that's where we're going to start in 1 Samuel 30. That's where we're at. That's what's been going on, and the Amalekites are back. So 1 Samuel chapter 30. So after David and his men arrived home to their town of Ziklag, they found that the Amalekites had made a raid into the Negev and Ziklag. They had crushed Ziklag and burned it to the ground. They carried off the women and children and everyone else, but without killing anyone. So when David and his men saw the ruins and realized what happened to their families, they wept until they could weep no more. Have you ever done that? I've done that. Like, you're just like torn on the inside, just complete heartbreak, complete distress. You just cry until you can't cry anymore, until you fall asleep, till you're almost sick, you know. That's this army of warriors. David and his army of warriors wept like this till they were just weak from crying. David's verse 5. David's two wives, Ahinoam from Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal from Carmel, were among those captured. David was now in great danger because all his men were very bitter about losing their sons and daughters, and they began to talk of stoning him. People are going to turn on you. They're going to tag around with you while things are good and try to like kind of feed off of your energy or whatever you've got going on. But if it goes bad, they're going to turn on you. So it says, but David found strength in the Lord his God. So verse 7, David says to the priest, bring me the ephod. So the priest Abiathar brought it. What's an ephod, you might say? I pictured like a glowing crystal ball kind of thing, or like a scepter or something. No, it's a holy garment, and only the priests could wear it when they went to intercess with God. In the tabernacle, there was a curtain, and only the holy men could go behind it, and that's where they could have direct intercession and with God. Now, we don't have to go through all of these rituals and pomp and circumstance kind of stuff, because when Jesus came and he was crucified, there's a verse where it says the veil was rent, the veil was ripped in half of the tabernacle, allowing us through Jesus to be able to have the direct communication with God, direct prayer access to God. But in the Old Testament, there was a lot of things that they had to do. So the ephod, what's the ephod? The ephod is like, picture our current day like aprons. You've kind of got a smaller square here. So that smaller square on a apron would be the ephod. It covers their chest. It was made of purple fine linen, and there was gold. There were shoulder straps and another piece of cloth on the back, and there was gold on the shoulder straps, and then it tied around the waist, and that had gold on it too. But on the chest, on the breastplate area, were 12 stones, 12 precious stones that represented the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what the priests, the holy men, would wear when they wanted to communicate with God. David was able to wear this because he had been anointed by Samuel as a holy man of God, as the next king. So he was allowed to wear this and request this ephod. If you weren't a priest, you couldn't wear it; you'd be punished. So David said, "Bring me the ephod." He wanted to talk directly to God and find out what to do about this situation. Verse 8. Then David asked the Lord, "Should I chase after this band of raiders? Will I catch them?" So David's a man of faith. Been a man of faith since he was little. Remember, he was killing lions and everything. And then he killed Goliath, and he was never afraid because he knew God would be there to help him, protect him. But he's a little wavery right now. He was trying to do good, and bad stuff happened while he was out trying to do good. And he's a little like, weary, tired of this fight, tired of trying to be the good guy, like, what do I do? So he's like, do I even try? And the Lord told him, yes, go after them. You will surely recover everything that was taken from you. So David takes 600 men. I'm going to kind of paraphrase this next section a little bit, these next verses. He takes 600 men, and they take off towards where the Amalekites are. Again, these guys are tired. They're exhausted from their mourning, and they get to some water. They have to pass over a river, and 200 men are just too weak and sickly and exhausted. They can't do it. So the 400 men go ahead and go over. They come across a guy just roaming around. He hadn't eaten. They gave him food and everything and asked him if he knew what had happened, and he told them, I'll show you where they are. Don't tell them I told you, though, because they will kill me. So David takes care of the man, finds out where the Amalekites are. So so when David and his 400 men come up to where the Amalekites are camped, and David and his people, his guys, can see all their belongings, their families are there, and the Amalekites are partying. They're happy, they're drinking, they're having a good time. They're not thinking about anything. They figure they just got over. So David and his men go down, and all night long they're just killing them and are able to take everything back. David gets his 2 wives back. Everybody gets because the Amalekites didn't kill anyone. Not even the livestock, none of the people, nothing. So everything that they had in Ziklag, they were able to take and bring back to Ziklag. So verse 18, David got back everything the Amalekites had taken, and he rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, small or great, son or daughter, nor anything else that had been taken. David brought everything back. So that's the Ziklag blessing. People talk about, like, when you lose something, or it could be a relationship, it could be things, it could be your peace of mind, your faith, whatever you've lost, God can replace that and give you everything back, as if it was never gone. So that's the Ziklag blessing. But I think the lesson in this is that God protected David, and he actually writes in the Psalms. He writes a couple of Psalms, kind of in similar wording. There's Psalms 144, verse 1 and 2. This is a little bit paraphrased. He said, God, let him be a strong warrior, but God is his shield and refuge and protection. So even though David knew that God made him a fierce warrior and that he could go to battle and he would do well, God gives us gifts and things that we can use for his purpose. But in the end, it's God's will, it's God's protection. And David knew that. And also in Psalms 18, verses 1 and 2, David says, God is my rock, my refuge, and my stronghold. Where the people were saying that Ziklag was David's stronghold, David knew that God was his stronghold, and no matter where he was or what he was doing, God would protect him. So that's the lesson of Ziklag to me, is that God is with you wherever you go, and He's protecting you. So the rest of this chapter, after they get everything and they start heading back, they come across those 200 men that couldn't make it with them, and the men that went, the 400 that went with him, were telling these 200 men, like, no, you can't get any of your stuff back because you didn't come with and help. And David's like, don't be like that. Like, not everybody can be a warrior. Not everybody can do everything. And they're going to get all their things that belong to them. And we're a community. We help each other. And God blessed us to get our stuff back, and we'll give them theirs back. So I guess that's another lesson too, that, to help each other, not to be jealous of each other, not to be, if you're doing well in a business, you started your own business, or you got a promotion, or somebody asks you, like, hey, how did you do that? Like, what did you do about this situation or that situation or whatever? Don't be afraid to share it, because whatever's meant for you is going to be for you. You don't have to hoard it, and think, oh, I can't share it with you because then I won't have as much. God is going to protect you. And that's what David was explaining to them in the rest of this chapter. Like, no, God is our protection. God is the one who gave us this back, and we're going to give it back to whoever. And he even gave away more. He gave some to people that had helped him in other tribes. He went around and gave them. He was so excited that he got all of his belongings back, that he even went and gave people some of what he had. So I hope that's encouraged you. I do wish you the Ziklag blessing, that if anything has been taken from you, if you've lost anything, big or small, that you will receive it back, and that may not be the exact same thing, but God will provide for you. And also, that I hope that you learned a little bit about the lesson of Ziklag, in that God is your protector wherever you are. It's not just a specific place or thing or people that you need to help you, but that God is your refuge, God is your protector. And I hope that this encouraged you.